stupid vlogging. I'm feeling pretty frustrated and tired and depressed today because I guess I just kind of feel like all of this staying home has like been for nothing, and I kind of feel like people shouldn't have stayed home. Like, I guess it just feels like even when this first started, I have to admit that if you really read research about it, it kind of was apparent that this was what was going to happen. You know, like I remember in like mid-March, like around the time that San Francisco had the stay home order, like people were sharing this article in The Guardian, I think, and they were basically talking about the fact that staying home was only going to work for as long as people stayed home, and then when people stopped staying home, everything was going to come back. And actually, they predicted that it would last like 18 months because that's how long it would take to get to a vaccine. And like, sometimes I felt so frustrated because, like, you know, people were sharing that. Like, I had read that at the time, and like, people, you know, were like, oh, we're closing until like the end of March, or like, you know, you don't need to go out, it's just for a few weeks. And it's like, it was really obvious that that wasn't true. But I sort of bought into it too. Like, I feel like a lot of early articles about COVID-19 would sort of show a calendar with like modeling that only would go for a few months, you know? And they were basically saying like, oh, if we don't stay home, you know, it'll get this bad in the next few months. And if we do stay home, it'll be more like this, you know? But they just would cut it off after a few months, and it sort of created this like false impression in our minds that after a few months passed, like the problem would be solved, when in reality, like it was just going to happen again or happen later. And yeah, I feel really frustrated. I guess it's hard not to feel very frustrated and political, just with the thought that if we had any other president, like, they would have listened to health experts more and it wouldn't have been as bad as it is. It's very hard to respect or sympathize with other leftist people I know who don't want to vote just because Biden is shitty. Like, I have nothing positive to say about him really, but any random shitty president who basically does what they're told and listens to advisors, like, wouldn't have allowed this to happen to the extent that it has. Like, there's lots of checks and balances for like having a president who's not great, you know, but they're not strong enough to stop somebody who basically just acts like a kid having a temper tantrum and will like actively try to do the opposite of what he's told. Like, it's just impossible. So yeah, it's really hard, and I think it's not something I really want to argue with people about. I guess I feel like I can't really make a big difference anyway, but it is hard when people are like, oh, like, Biden's a shitty person, I hate him, so I'm like not voting. Like, wow, great, okay, you do that. Anyways, I guess I feel frustrated because, I mean, for one thing, mask wearing is like so strict here, and I have like, you know, complained about some of the like social shaming aspects of that, but I do feel that, like, I have to say that even though I thought that my boss would never be able to learn to wear a mask, she's actually learned to wear one completely fine. And even though I was really struggling to wear one, and I still struggle to wear it for long periods, I have found like a pretty good solution in just like wearing it under headphones so that I can like easily hang it from my ear and like cover my face when I'm near people. Like, that does allow me like a lot of time to like breathe without a mask when I'm walking around, and still like be able to follow rules in terms of keeping a mask on when I'm near people. So I have to say it's like not as bad as I originally thought it would be. It's a lot more doable. Anyways, I guess I just feel confused and like I don't know what to think because the rules are very strict here, but it seems like we're still having a rise in cases. So I guess I just feel like I don't know. It's just not possible for people to stay home anymore. I don't feel like. I mean, we'll see what happens. I kind of feel like I shouldn't be saying this, like as if it's like wrong think or something, to say that I just think it sucks and like it's something that people can't do, but I do sort of feel like that. Like, I almost wonder if like from the beginning, like I kind of feel like we shouldn't have started with like a reaction that was like so intense and strict that like it was really hard for people to function like emotionally and also like financially and like in lots of other ways after like only a few days or a few weeks. Like, it was really something that would only have worked if like it was actually possible to just do it for a short period of time. But like realistically that was never actually possible, you know? So it's just frustrating because I sort of feel like I wish from the beginning we had started instituting stuff like moving stores and restaurants outside and like social distancing everywhere and like wearing masks everywhere and stuff like that. Like, if instead of like telling people to stay home and like dramatically change like the shape of our lives and what we do, if we had just like changed how we did everything, like it wouldn't have had as good an effect, but it would have actually been something that we could keep doing. Whereas like it sort of doesn't really matter that staying home works because we can't permanently do it. So, you know, I think I'm just not feeling well today. I'm having a lot of like back pain, and when I have a certain type of back pain, it's just really hard for me to like stand up or like sit up or really do anything. Like, there's like just like this sort of intense muscle weakness and exhaustion. So it's really frustrating, and I feel very frustrated at work. It's not a knock on my boss or her parents, but there's nothing to do, and like we're always together, so it's like, you know, it feels like her parents are always like, oh, what are you going to take her to do? What are you guys going to do today? And it's like, did you know there's nothing to do? And like, the only thing that I possibly really can do is like take her out for a walk somewhere, which, like, you know, I know it's shitty, but I haven't been doing a ton or anything, but I'm just so exhausted. And like, you know, it always means pushing her somewhere in her wheelchair, like pushing her up hills. Like, it's very hilly where she lives, and it just like is really, really tiring. And it's like pushing her up hills so that we can like go to a park and like just walk around, which isn't really like, it doesn't really make her that happy anyway, because like we can't see people or do normal things. And like, you know, because so much of the public transit in San Francisco is still suspended, like we can't, some of the nicer places to go, we can't take transit there. And obviously, there's lots of other things that we just can't do. Like, back in the day, we had so many activities and classes that now, like, are all canceled. And, like, we, you know, if there was nothing to do, we could have still gone to lots of things, or I could have gotten on the train with her and taken her to see a movie. I'm not complaining that like movies are not open or something like that. It's just that like there's nothing to do. So I feel frustrated because like there's nothing to do. I would rather just veg out, you know, even though it's probably not ideal for either of us. But then like because her parents are there, it's like they're constantly complaining that we're not doing stuff, and it's like, okay, what do you actually think that we can do? And then like we all have to admit there's nothing. And like whenever someone has a suggestion, everyone else is like, that sounds boring. um so it's just frustrating. I had been thinking about moving home to my basement apartment when a little bit more public transit is restored, and now I'm starting to worry that, I mean, I'm starting to wonder, I haven't read anything about it, but with the way things are going, like, what if we close again? And what if they cut more public transit? So I just don't think I can, like, stay here for that much longer. Like, I guess I just feel like at least the change of, like, living at home and going commuting again, like, would give some sort of shape to my life, whereas now I'm just, you know, here all the time, and then I spend like a really long time walking home every weekend because it's so far, and then like I have to sit in the dark there, and then I have to come back. I don't know. I mean, I do kind of worry that being at home would suck because it's like so dark and cold in the basement, and it would be like a shitty place to hang out. But I am kind of thinking like maybe I should be working right now on like buying a mini fridge and setting up more of like a nice kitchen space for myself and like a nice backyard space, because what if everything closes and it's like I don't have the opportunity to like buy things or like set things up as well. um yeah, I guess it's just really frustrating. I think, I don't think of myself as like an extroverted person. Like, I'm quite a shy person, and I mean, it's hard to remember how much I used to see people or what I used to do, but I would say probably like once a week I would do something with a friend. But I had lots of other things that I like to do that involved being with people, like volunteering and going to church, and just like I just liked to be in coffee shops. To basically, whenever I would write or work on productive stuff, I needed to be around people. That just always helps me think. And so, like, I don't know, just the fact that I can't do any of the things I would normally do to feel better, and that's been going on for so long. It's just hard to like know what would make you feel better and like not be able to do any of it. And another thing I really don't like, I think this is just because I've always had like a really kind of Spartan like mental issue where it was really easy for me to kind of fall into this like depression spiral of feeling like, I'm not a useful person, so I like shouldn't exist, or like I should only do things that are like useful to other people, and like kind of bringing it to this like really extreme depression spiral. And like, I guess, or like I'll only like do things that are completely necessary. My like emotional well-being isn't necessary. um I just I dislike the whole idea of like essential people and like essential activities kind of bugs me. And like, I think the entire time, even when we had the most strict stay home rules, people are always trying to bend the rules to make it so that the things that they needed to do to feel okay, like go outside or go to a place where other people were, people are always just trying to bend the rules to like say that those things were essential. And people always still went out and did stuff. And I guess, I don't know, I guess